Hello and welcome to season 4 of Own Your Divine Light show. This is Accelerate Ascension during times of chaos and pandemic. And I am Isla Serona Miller, and this is my magical name of Janet, which I'm just starting to move into. So I'm sharing this with you now. And we've all been going through so much right this year, and it's feeling like things are lifting, yet we don't know what is on the horizon. So we are meant to create a new way of being. And today's guest has truly opened doors to our next level of who we are meant to be. Michael Andre Ford is an angel intuitive in San Antonio, Texas. He pulls back the veil so people can meet, hear, and see angels and spirit guides and other well-known figures. And you're going to love Michael. Oh my gosh, he's amazing. Compassionate figures from various cultures around the globe. There are actual photos of angels and other figures that he will show you today. And warm up by seeing all of what's around you. Michael has helped 2,000 more or plus people, including those with backgrounds from Easley, Omega Institute, which is a very popular place in the East Coast, Austin City Limits, Canyon Ranch, 1440 Kripalu, which I've been to a few times, Airbnb, NASA, that's interesting, Columbia, Stanford, UCSD, and so many more. So no matter what your background is, there's always room for more fun, expansion, and improvement in life. And Michael connects you to yourself and the universe without a barrier. And he keeps it light and easy. All languages are spoken. You can ask him anything, listen and get your answers for life, business, etc. Yes, detailed answers are possible. You can meet your past loved ones and the pets that have passed over. Michael has spent 20 years in New York City as a public relations person, but he got his start on Wall Street. So you have a heck of a business background there. He's originally from Newport, Annapolis, and Nantucket. So he's an East Coaster like me and has been a runner for almost 40 years. He is a passionate runner. He's graduated from Phillips Academy and over in Middlebury College. Welcome, Michael. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting to have you here.
Thanks for having me on, Janet, especially fourth season. Congratulations.
Oh, it's so awesome because you know what? This gift of yours is so incredible. I mean, I'm blown away by what you can do. So how did it show up? I mean, that's always the, like that's such a, I'm going to just start out with it because it's too interesting to not know how did it start for you?
Sure. So I was in New York City for a super long time. And I remember out of college, I said over my dead body, I'd ever move back to New York. Of course, that was the first place I got my first real job offer on Wall Street. But I left New York. I was laid off with an hour's notice with 72 others, part of that whole Lehman crisis thing where every business in the country thought they were going out of business. But I was the only one excited. I had a chance to move to a home that I had purchased in Austin, and I had a lot of little things happen, kind of popped me out of thinking and just showed me that maybe what I thought my immediate reality wasn't as real as I thought, that there's always a little bit more around you, within you. And if you use a sports analogy or anything else you love to do as a hobby, when you let go and you're in the zone, that's what I'm talking about.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, the universe opened up for you, obviously. It just said, Michael doesn't belong here anymore. Let's move him over to something else.
I got a little lucky just because I was very nervous at the beginning, and I think everyone should be. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to grasp, but I'm here to just say it's really easy. This is just about a little more kindness, love, compassion to yourself and others. But I grabbed a camera and I started snapping photos really as a security blanket for what I was seeing. And I used to give people the camera. They could snap the same photos. It's just now they can see with their own eyes directly. It's almost like you're kicking me out of the way. So you get a full-on hearing, feeling, hugs, seeing experience.
Interesting. Have you ever asked, why did this happen to you? Why were you gifted with this?
Everyone's got a unique life path. And my unique life path is actually to help people meet their own cheerleading squad, whether you want to call it angels, guides, passed over loved ones, the nice ones, not the ones robbing banks wanted by the FBI. But everyone should, if they wish, and I don't want to interfere, this is all about unconditional love, highest intent, same thing for angels. You simply put yourself out there, let go of what you know long enough to do some listening, hearing, seeing. But what I'm really here to do is help people meet their cheerleading squad. There's 170 figures at the front end, mostly angels, Plato, figures from India, Native American figures, and so on. that usually sucks up all the available time I have initially with the person. So I always at least try to get them their guardian angel or passed over loved one. And so there's a lot more exploring always to be done.
Okay, kind of.
You broke up.
Like things, which is amazing. So all right, so I broke up. Okay, well, it happens. It's been happening today. So I
Yep.
want to say that in a real adventure with the internet, and I'm just going to tell you right now. So were you spiritual or delving into like esoteric beliefs when this all started? I mean, or were you disillusioned with life and you're looking forward to something new?
I have hopefully always been a super positive, energetic, outgoing person throughout my life. It's just maybe not super sharp on the uptake always. What took me 2 years to learn on this whole spiritual kind of opening up thing, people get to learn in 10 seconds. I'm a really fast teacher and I slice right through wherever a person's at. I help them jump over, get rid of their obstacles so that, again, they can connect to the universe. But again, easier said than done. Every person I help makes it look easy and makes me look like a super slowpoke. I'm more comfortable now because I've got maybe 10 years under my belt, but I will say to anybody, if they're stuck in thinking or if they're just like real hardcore and they say none of this is possible, that's fine. It's not for them. But anybody who wants their answers and who's like, nah, I've been through enough, I wouldn't mind getting some help. You get the help. Detailed business, life, relationships, health, exercise. If you're an athlete in a slump, why not get that assistance? How much of your raw talent or who you are really went away? Or are you just doing a little bit of thinking that's a block? It's always a little bit of letting go of the detail to get more detail that's actually helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I got into healing work, I mean, I doubted myself. I mean, and I saw results and people were getting them, and you saw results. But it's hard to believe that we have these abilities today, but yet
It,
so much is opened up for us, right?
it is. And when it first started happening, I'm in Austin, Texas at the time. I mean, anyone will tell you back then, I was a deer in headlights, 70 million headlights today, maybe 69.5 million headlights. But I was grabbing every intuitive insight, shaking them by the collar, saying, what's happening? And I happened to
That's
get lucky
good.
with the camera. So photos of angels, photos of some fairies, indoors, outdoors, daytime, nighttime. Again, people could take the camera and get their photos themselves, but not just balls of light or orbs, as people say, but full on angels. Like I have a silhouette photo of an angel. It goes on and on and on. And the photos just work as great props to help a person sort of set aside their judging and reacting, to be in their heart, to let go and to get what they need on the spot. But pretty quickly, you can just see with your own eyes, full on standing there, with or without wings. Meet Audrey Hepburn, that actress we all know from 25 years ago, bona fide angel.
That's incredible. I can see that with her. I could imagine her. She had that angelic presence anyway, in the way she spoke, her gentleness. I mean, she just like oozed gentleness and love. That doesn't surprise me at all. Kind of like Diana, Diana. But we don't know where Diana is right now. We still have, we have things to find out in the world. So I'm excited for you because, it is not an easy journey to do this work, and it's not easy to bring it to people because you're looking at yourself going, what's happening to me? Because you can think you're crazy, right? And then you go, okay, I'm all right. I'm good because I'm getting validation. Then I get photos that show you what's happening. That was amazing that you got the photos, and that's such a validation.
The photos, people around me, basically all these little experiences, going on runs help ground you. And lots of little experiences. Again, all these little experiences are wonderful. They'd make for maybe a good memoir one day, but none of my experiences necessarily, they could be motivational perhaps, but they don't help the individual person just hang up their thinking
Oh,
long enough to let go and own where they're at and to say, hey, I could just use a little help. That's what I do. I almost step out of the way. I get sleepy afterwards. I connect with the person. They get to do it all, which is a big concept, but really it's the same listening you would do for somebody that you really like. You run into somebody at the supermarket, you meet them, and you're falling on every word. You're not thinking about what you need to shop for in a minute when you've said goodbye to the person. You're focused. So that focus, that clarity is simply what you already experienced. Maybe brushing your teeth, definitely falling asleep at night when you have a good night's sleep. or if you're an athlete or yoga or any of the stuff that you normally do with no thought. Now, you're not going to give yourself a lot of credit for that. You're going to think, oh, well, I just really like doing yoga. But I'm going to argue that that is the Olympic gold medal. It's the basic letting go you do without a second thought. All the complex stuff that you think is really important is where you put all your worry, your fear, your resisting. So this is getting out of your own way fully to tap what you already have here. You're fully enabled, incredible, authentic power. And so we might highlight something that I do, and yeah, it's a unique gift, and yes, it's what I'm supposed to be doing. But I would argue that every single person walking around has amazing potential, no limits. It's just not everyone's ready for this. Not everyone's going to be like, yeah, sock it to me.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because you're being very, you're humble, and that's beautiful. And I think what you're doing is awesome. So how did you introduce this to people? How did you introduce this to like help them realize that this is important, that they're going to get something valuable out of this? How did that come about?
I started by showing, I've probably shown about 3,000 plus folks their energy on their hands. I know Celestine Prophecy, the movie, shows that in the jungle scene with the Band of Brothers actor and maybe the NCIS or JAG actress. It's a pretty good film, but in India, they do it this way. And I know India is a really big country. So if you talk to 100 people out of India and mention this, only 2 to 10 are going to know what we're talking about. But you can see your energy between your fingers, auras, white light, colors, 5 colors at once, rainbow light, even colors that humans don't recognize, a whole new category, or balls of light coming off of that. Colorblind people can see colors. It's really just angels doing all the work.
Really?
I've had 3 people who are colorblind see colors, not permanently afterwards, never been able to go that far, but also extrapolate out. So you can see auras on trees, your dog, your sister, if you're in good relations with your sister, you love your sister. You can see each other's auras. You can see energy moving through the air, particularly in the last couple of years. So think of it as a Jedi thing, the Force. Think of it as love, consciousness. Joe Campbell, The Power of Myth. He talked about how he suspects consciousness is energy. So that's all it is. Universal light, whatever your lingo is. There's thousands of groups out there, woo-woo, spiritual, philosophical, practical. The point is you get to see more as soon as you let go of the judging and get out of the, is it possible, to, hey, let's give it a go. It is a bit like jumping off a cliff. I'm going to argue that it's a 1-inch leap of faith, religious, not religious, but it's going to feel like a mile or a kilometer down. It's big. And it could feel like there's a lot of fog. You don't even know if you're going to land in a lake down below that's comfortable. So I can't fault anyone for being fearful, doubting it, whatever. But the good news is you get a direct experience.
Yeah.
You can do it as a group. I've got the photos, I've got the testimonials. So it kind of takes care of itself. I feel like a lot of the pressure is off me, and I try to just tell dad jokes to keep it light.
That's great. That's great. It's like you're opening us up to our multidimensional self. Like you're bringing that out. You're showing people that this is who you can be. And you're discovering that your heart in the present moment, whether we're talking Seth from the 1970s, he explained it really well, that light being that kind of kicked off the whole new age thing. You can meet him. But he talks about how the entrance point is your heart in the present moment through the world that you know and into, we'll call it just more reality, more fun, more love, more compassion, more help. And what I love about this is, tons of business people, tons of other people just worried about their career. They really want practical, tactical advice on steps to take. There's no limit to the level of detail you can get. So if you're a salesperson, you need 30 places to call that you do good business with, get those names. If you want to get 4 companies you should go and put your resume into, get those names. Now, who isn't going to ask about their family or their personal development or their personal health? Yeah. I don't think I've ever had anybody who didn't ask sort of the bigger picture. How can I have more fun, feel more relaxed, get back to the old me? You don't always have to be in Hawaii on the vacation. So that's also what this is about. You have no privacy. Angels are not judging you. This is just that extra oomph, that help, that support you wish you could have. And you're never alone. So it's kind of cool once you've gotten rid of me. I help you one time, maybe you come back a few times, but most people realize they need to go out of the nest on their own and play with it. As soon as you realize you can turn to the thin air and be like, hey, Joy, the first angel people usually meet, are you there? And you hear directly. You could be out on a walk, the middle of cooking dinner, in the middle of yoga.
you can start a two-way dialogue without even using the photos. I teach confidence and just owning what you've already got.
Yeah. And I love how you say that, thinking is the only obstacle.
That's it.
And, how did you discover that? How did you know that people like did you learn it through your own way from you?
Well, with a couple thousand folks having done this, there's a lot of answers from angels where they've sat down, they're in the zone, they're listening, and they write the answers down. You end up learning a lot. I used to go over all the answers with folks. Now it's the opposite. It's whatever they want to share, but you get to pick up on a lot of cool, bigger picture stuff. Like I wrote that book, Listening to Angels, on Amazon, but I really didn't write it. It's angels who did the writing. I was seeing balls of light at the time. And I had somebody else do, basically the listening and check all the words, make sure it was compassionate and gentle. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the material from angels is just like, hey, keep it simple. And again, thinking being the only obstacle comes from a lot of fronts. Buddhism, it could be Dan Millman, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, Gary Zukav, Eckhart Tolle. There's a lot of famous authors who have brought us, really far over the last 30 years. But it's also something angels have reinforced or talked about. How simple it is. You really just have to get out of the mind or conditional thinking or conditional love and get to the heart, whatever the heart is. No limits. It's unconditional love. It's being, Shakespeare, to be or not to be. So there's a lot of ways to express what I think everyone's trying to point to, whether they're the really serious long-term 40-year expert. I mean, think of Deepak Chopra has done it all and offers a wonderful array of offerings, but there's a curve and everyone's vibration's a little bit different. There's a lot more happier folks. There's more serious. There's everything else in between. I say find whatever resonates. And then when you're ready at some point, take a jump off that proverbial fun cliff to the nice, lake and waterfall down below. You're just really letting the universe step in and kind of power you up. You have amazing hearing, seeing, feeling, senses, and everyone has a little bit easier time on certain fronts. So imagine being able to see a butterfly in the air made by an angel just for you.
Really?
Or to talk to Sai Baba in India, or to talk to Plato, or to talk to, Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, or, there's probably 100+ angels, or to meet a passed over family member. If you can own the rest of it and see a couple angels standing there with or without wings, whatever you're comfortable with, you can have that relative step in between them, sort of like a doorway, and have a full-on chat. Obviously, you're going to get teary-eyed if it's a big deal, but it's a lot to take in. But you get what you need, you get what you allow for is probably the basic message.
Yeah. It's interesting. My grandmother, my mother's mother, she said that my grandfather used to come and sit on the bed and talk to her. And I was shocked because I didn't know she had that ability, And so she told me that. I'm sure my mother might have known, but my mother never talked about it. But my grandmother did tell me, my babci was my Polish grandmother. And I just love that she could share that with me. She didn't get into a whole lot of detail, but she was very psychic. And I didn't know how psychic she was till now that I got into spiritual work as I got older. And my doors opened that, we always had such a good connection. And so that's so cool because we all have a connection, like you said, in some way or another. So how did you, when you saw angels exist, what were you going to say? What were you going to share?
Well, I was going to suggest if anybody out there is sort of like, wow, this is a lot to take in. There's a great exercise a person can do before bed that's not too, I don't want to say threatening, but just isn't too far out there. So before bed, obviously you want to let go of your stress during the day. And if you can give thanks for anything, that you have a great dog, a great pillow, a great anything, just great life in general, you've got a level playing field.
Yeah.
At that point, you're wide open and about to have anywhere from 5 to 9 hours of downtime. And you'll maybe have university classes that you'll never remember with the universe. But the point is, put something out there. Stick to just sort of the indirect method, which is, hey, angels, trust that they exist. That's the only thing I'll say is I've got 10,000 photos. I've watched 2,000 people, do this even in a group. So they exist. Just think of them as unconditional love beings who don't want to interfere. Invite them to come in and help you expand in whatever way you want to phrase it, whatever you're comfortable asking for. It's a practice of getting out of your routine. Life isn't a routine, live it. So turn and say, hey, life's been feeling like a routine. Help me live it. and help me get something that I can remember the next morning. And if you would, surprise me in the next couple of weeks. We're not used to being able to ask and receive for anything. We think life is so much more complex and that this can't be possible. So if you want to play with this a little, before bed, make some requests and allow with a capital A. That's the key to all of this, is just 5% less thinking in a day. You'll go back to the high school, college days, your sports prowess days when you were the best in soccer, whatever it is that you thought you've lost, that je ne sais quoi. You could be the artist just not painting as much, not enjoying it as much. We all get beat up with too much routine. So just the simple act of asking the universe to come in and freshen the air can make all the difference in the world. But you don't have to come grab me and do a full-on session. Just trust that you're heard. You're never alone. It's just unconditional love. And there's no judging.
I love that. That is such a great thing to tell people, because we don't always think of things like that. But yes, when you go to bed, to give gratitude is really great. And then to ask for that, because we don't always ask. We're always like praying, and it's like,
yeah,
kind of, it's a different way of asking. It's not, it's not, you don't have to just open it up and say, I need something right now.
The prayer is fine in a sense, because, you're one way outbounding, sending a telegram, but it's Winnie the Pooh, the famous quote, everyone talks to animals, no one listens. So it's really a two-way opportunity. And all I'm doing is pulling back a very thin sheet or veil of what's already in you and around you. If you want to say that multidimensional, it's just your relatives are around you. You know this. If you've been at least 1% sensitive in your life, there's been some sort of synchronicity sometime. Grandpa Joe came through just at the right time, or whoever, but the point is, it's so much bigger than any one of us are going to be able to fathom. So say, sock it to me, universe. Let me have some more joy, ease, fun. Help me meet a few interesting people. I'll try to slow down 1% of my day. Walk slower to the car, allow yourself to just sort of pause for a second at the supermarket. Maybe that opens up a conversation. You never know how the universe jumps at this opportunity that you've given yourself, and you've allowed angels to kind of step in and help.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I had to learn too, because we always like to give and be givers, and we don't always know how to receive. That's been like the message, I think, of a lot of people I've been hearing because of the pandemic. All of this chaos we've had, it's sort of like the universe is giving us time. We're receiving time to just relax and to be in our own spaces. And you're saying this with meeting angels and meeting your guides and meeting different people that you didn't think you could do, but you're giving us some little basics. Plus, they can also connect with you to get a full-on, experience that way as well. So,
plus the pandemic gave us Zoom. Everyone thinks Zoom is easy, fantastic. It's totally acceptable now. I love it.
Oh yeah. And I've been using Zoom before, but I love that everyone, and it was nice to be able to connect. It was so nice to be able to connect with everybody, like this. Like, people don't have to travel to go to work. You don't have to travel to have a healing session. You don't have to travel to have an energy session like what you're doing. You don't have to be in person, because energy is everywhere.
And when I help folks, if I'm doing that kind of Native American kind of classic 80s, what do we call it? New age spiritual stuff, which of course I'm woo 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 off the charts, but even the woo 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 spiritual communities are learning to embrace the concept of what I'm doing. So to me, it's interesting, all these pockets out there. They're all doing a great job, go and take their classes and everything else. But if I blow a little bit of sage here, people can smell it through the screen at their end. Same thing with seeing an angel in my hand and then having that angel sort of through two screens in your hand. So no limits really means no limits. And very quickly, I help a person realize, holy cow, he wasn't kidding. And they start experiencing it. Now, this is tough because it breaks a little bit of the thread of reality of how we roll. We tend to keep our head pretty low. We tend to think certain things are happening to us and that we're not really having an energy impact or responsible for that. But I'm just here to say that if anyone can slow their roll, and for a lot of folks, they're moving fast. We think the rat race is New York City, LA, the big companies. The rat race, I'd almost say, and I'm borrowing from angels, is thinking itself. And I know we're never going to get rid of thinking. It's just not in the cards, but one angel said 5 to 10%, I forget which, less thinking a day is the Olympic gold medal. And that comes out to an hour, 2 hours, break it up to 15 minutes here, whenever you can remember to remember,
I
if you
love
can remember to remember.
that is really powerful. I mean, you're talking fast. So I'm going to slow you down a little, because when you said prayer, what is it? The rat race is thinking itself. I mean,
Yes,
that's
and I think
powerful.
that was Red Shirt, the Native American chief, who said that, to give him credit.
Yeah, and that's a powerful statement, because we are in our heads nonstop. We can't get out of it. We're in it. We can't like leave it. We can't. I mean, you can, well, you can leave your body in a sense in different ways, but yet, you're always got that thinking going on, that little monkey mind working in you.
And
So,
there's that classic quote, maybe from India, that a mind that is fast is sick, a mind that is slow is sound, a mind that is still is divine. And I would just say Mother Teresa, who you can meet, I think she once said that for a lot of people, taking a breath is as much compassion as they're going to do. Compassion is taking a breath for many. And by that, she just meant, look, everyone's moving fast. When I was in New York, I was moving fast nonstop up here. So for me back then, taking a single breath, a real breath, not the one for the physical, where the doctor has the stethoscope here, and on the second or third breath, you took it seriously. A real breath, I think Chogyam Trungpa, the Tibetan Buddhist monk, would say, is you grounding in the present moment, and it begins sort of the opening of that door that you were referring to earlier. So a single breath, a smile works, a stretch works. I think there's plenty of people have their own way to sort of, you could be hugging a tree, feet on the grass. Could be just yoga itself. I've been a runner it'll be 40 years next year. I use the running at some point within a mile or two, I let go, and I've got this thing that I do that sort of tells me, oh my God, I've woken up into the run and I'm enjoying the run. I'm looking at flowers. Hello, pointy bird.
gotcha.
So,
Staying in the present, you're really connected to the moment. Yeah, when that happens, that's beautiful. And that's like being in your own divinity when you're saying that. That makes so much sense to me, because because we don't stop. We're not stoppers. We just go, go, go. So we're trying, I think this whole thing that happened to us was many, many things. And one of them was to stop everything. I mean, people, there's lots of different things going on, but the universe had a plan, and that was to slow us down, smell the roses kind of deal. And look around you. Look at your life. Are you happy? Are you where you want to be?
With all this work, here's the sort of big picture stuff, just to get that out of the way. And take this with a grain of salt. I don't think it sounds too drastic, but angels said at one point, mankind's ready for a little more compassion and kindness. That was it. And I thought that was pretty beautiful. The two things that I've learned from 10 plus years and a couple thousand folks now is, where you put your focus is where you put your focus. Half the time you could react to a TV program. You're like, oh, that group, I don't like that group. But you're rolling in negativity when you're judging and reacting. It doesn't mean that a group isn't a bunch of jerks or complex. I like the word complex. I got that from angels. It's just where you put your focus is where you put your focus. If 10% of the day you could ease up on the thinking accelerator and think, or put your focus on just more positive experiences. It could be smelling flowers, it could be cooking, it could be anything to get you out of what you know and into a little bit more fun. The second big, not lesson, but the big thing that's kind of apparent is, as a kid, you thought in terms of no limits. You were already here. Everything was much more simple and straightforward. A lot of people long for those days, whether they were an athlete and everything was easier back then, or they're having more fun. The point is,
you're always in the present and you were always having fun. I mean, you didn't care if you were doing anything, just laying on the grass, looking at the sky. You didn't have to
we're at the beach.
On the beach.
Yep.
You and me. And absolutely.
And so if there are no limits, I would just say to the listener, anybody especially who's like, how could this be? If there are no limits in life, maybe there are really no limits. That's a little bit of that Abraham Hicks pivoting thing, where you just went 5% easier on yourself and what you're allowing to be a concrete reality. I would argue there's so little structure. You have so much more potential possibility. And that's where the Tony Robbins of the world and the business folks and the woo-woo-woo spiritual experts come in to help you crowbar your thinking and blow open your door and get you going on your way. Everyone has a unique life path, and angels are ready to help delineate that, help you give you concrete steps to take in any direction you want.
Yeah.
And to help out. They're the best coaches. That's what I love about this job is you're not really listening to me. I'm getting you to and a lot of people like the word masters. I'm not into that, but they're great teachers. There's no hierarchy. It's all unconditional love. They already know where you're at and they're dying to help out if you would just put yourself out there. So how fast can you operate a pen and scribble down your answers? The record's, I think, 48 pages by an Australian, 9 hours, and she just kept going. Energizer Bunny, she got every detail.
48 pages in 9 hours. What was that?
Questions. 2 angels. I have folks talk to 3 figures.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so she was asking questions, what do I need to know in life? But more specific questions with lots of detail. And she was scribbling away for 9 hours, getting all her answers.
Yeah, that's pretty. 9 hours. Wow. I got to give you credit for longevity too.
I get sleepy afterwards. It definitely is a lot of openness.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And that's amazing. I mean, wow, how much she had a lot to talk about, which is good for her. It's important that she knew what she wanted to ask. So, okay. So what are you finding right now is going on, people? And I know we're going to talk in a minute because I had a little session with you. We're going to talk about that. And how do you find your ability is supporting people right now during the chaotic time that we're in, like this whole shifting time, I should say. Shifting is a better word, maybe.
Yeah, I'd just say, hey, life has always been full of change and opportunity. And I would say it could be easier now to react to something or to go run out about, global climate change and to throw your hat into that ring. My whole shtick would be just realize you have a 3-foot energy bubble and whatever's in that zone is where you really have control and opportunity. The sooner you realize kind of how it works without me telling you anything, just how you roll with your flow. If you remember Scrooge at the beginning of Christmas Carol, he was dental floss, easy to judge. None of us like Scrooge at the beginning of Christmas Carol. He was a jerk. He was about money. But by the end, everyone forgets that he was a full-on great guy, full of joy, helping others, giving, living life to the fullest, not doing the routine thing. So somewhere in there is the lesson, and that's a 78-page short book, Charles Dickens, that's been around for 100 years or more. That's what this is about, is no matter what you think is going on in the world, it's easy to get caught up and start yelling, the sky is falling, like everyone else is doing. Or you can realize how you're embracing each moment. And eventually, a lot of your moments can be the same, full of joy, sparkle, zip. You're excited about life, what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You can fall in love with life again. I just am sort of the middle guy who helps figure out where you're at, helps show you what you'll allow yourself to see, slaps you around a little or uses humor, but then you connect and you can get it all. And you can even get a little bit of healing if you'll allow for it. The hugs, you get a little goosebump as a hug. As soon as you let go, and on your 10th hug, you go, oh my God, the more I let go, the more I feel it as a whoosh. If you want to see it as an energy wave through you, no limits.
That's amazing. That you just said, learn to love yourself again or love life again. I mean, that was one of my quotes in one of my websites way back when. And you just said that. I'm like, I remember that quote.
Yeah, your first book definitely resonated. It was fun. You interviewed all those different folks, but it was a good tone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, okay. So I had this amazing session with you, and I know you're going to share something with us. It's like the gift for the audience that you're going to show us one of your angels that you photograph and that people can, how do you want to lead this? Because I know it was really fun for me to experience.
What I'll do is just take a couple minutes and I'll put up a photo in a second of an angel named Joy, who's the very first angel people get to meet. Consider her or view her as the communicator or ambassador. And this is going to be a pink ball of light, but there's so many other shapes and sizes and everything else. So not an orb, an actual angel. This photograph photographs shouldn't be able to move and change colors or anything like that. I use historical photos, and a historical photo will wink, smile, move the shoulders. So there's a lot of stuff that's not possible. Here's an angel named Joy, again, bona fide angel. She's the emotion Joy, very high, peppy voice.
Ooh,
and if the listener out there can find kind of their happy zone, not to make this too glib, but however you roll is what's important. So if you want to put your hand on your heart, you just want to give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Say it out loud, say it quietly within you, just be like angels. And That's probably about as much lingo or structure as I use, but trust that angels exist. I've got photos of them. I've been doing this a long time. That's probably the one thing I'd throw your way and say, they exist. Trust that this is so, and the rest will follow, including answers. So right now, my only real bit of structure is throw it out to the universe, silently just ask angels to help you get out of your head into your heart, and throw in an amen, a thank you, rock and roll, however you want to own it as an inner fearless, peaceful warrior that you already are. So ask angels, hey, get me out of my head into my heart. Amen, rock and roll, thank you. And then lay your eyes on Joy. I'll hold it a little closer and more steady. And silently just ask her, hey, Joy, what do I need to know in life right now? And hear a little whisper back from this angel. It'll sound like your own voice for a second or two, but the second you really let go, a high, peppy, hey, voice kicks in. Make sure your legs aren't crossed. Leave your eyes on the photo. Don't close your eyes. Make sure your mouth's a little bit open if you want a 5% kind of bonus assistance. And you'll hear a little whisper back. Don't judge it. That'll be the first thing you do is like, oh, I'm not sure I did that right. Leave your eyes on the photo again and ask her for the littlest of hugs. Feel a goosebump on the back of your neck. Feel like a hat on the top of your head. Feel something on your back, yummy in the tummy. 1,000 ways to get a hug. And really, this is just you allowing. If you have to go for a walk first, Janet will have this photo available. It's on my website, www.michaelandreford.com, as a pop-up. The second you go to the website, the photo will pop up. If you have to go to the website itself, re-enter and it'll pop up again. So you can practice on your own, but get a pen and paper, write down your answers, write a question down. Don't pick your most stressful questions first. Pick puff questions so you can get the confidence to own your own ability to listen. This is just testing your electricity or plumbing in the house so you've got some confidence that you know it's real. And if you want, ask her to move a little in the photo. Just feel a little sparkly energy. If you have to shake your hands a little like this or do something to kind of break your structure, you tightened up again, do it. Again, leave your mouth a little bit open. I have to remind people that 100 times in an hour. And again, quietly just ask her for the littlest of hugs. Feel energy on your body wherever you can allow for it. It'll be a goosebump. It'll be a little whoosh. It could be a wind in the room. I've run to my thermostat more than once. Is the unit on? Am I imagining it? I still do that. So we have a thinking component that absolutely says, I did not just see what I saw. And then we have a heart that says, ooh, pretty. Or I just got my answer. Awesome. It's tapping into that heart just a little more like you would for gardening, going for a walk, hugging a dog, all the good stuff in life. That's all we're talking about. And if you're in any way stuck, that's okay. That's what I'm there for, is I help people navigate their own stuckness to get going. And another quote that was from the US Open yesterday, just to get people to laugh, you're listening to my voice, I'm tying up your thinking for you, is an announcer yesterday at the US Open at Torrey Pines said, experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. I love that. That's what everybody's getting right now is, and Buddhists will call it suffering, or you could call it problems. No one runs around and says, my opportunity for growth is, we all say, it's our thinking that says this, my problem is. And when they speak, they're reinforcing their current situation. Do you want resolution? Or do you want to be more stuck in the same thing? So one last time, take a look at Joy. Do whatever you have to do to sit up straight, breathe, let go. It's your own version of letting go. You have to define this. Only you can help yourself feel comfortable. And I'll tell you one dad joke to get you laughing, but when you hear the punchline, leave your eyes on her, ask her the question, and silently hear a little whisper back. Just ask, hey, what do I need to know for the rest of June or for the rest of the summer? And so here's your joke. It's Santa's reindeer, Blitzen, Dancer, just those two. Why do they drink so much coffee? Because they're Santa's Starbucks. And as you're laughing, you're in your heart, silently ask her, hey, Joy, what do I need to know for the rest of the summer? And listen, you'll hear a little whisper back. And then you can practice the rest of the summer. Just try to go on a walk, pull out the photo, leave your eyes on her and listen, and just allow. This is you stepping out of your own way to let an angel do her job. Okay?
Wow. I saw some just like bright white light keep bursting through the circle, and I could see like a little being in there.
Sure. Why don't I do
It's
one
interesting.
more thing for 20 seconds? For those in the audience that are checking this out and that are confident, we'll say even cocky and having fun, I'm just going to hold my finger up. And everyone knows what a Bic lighter looks like. It has a flame that pops up. So at the tip of my finger, for those who want to do this, I'm going to go on an old surfing trip and jack my energy up. See if you can see a little bit of light on my fingertip. And that's it. Be in your heart if you have to put your hand on your heart and just see a little flicker of light. And I'm going to pull my finger away in just a second. You'll see what you allow yourself to see. Even if you strike out the first time, you can go back to this spot in the segment or do it on your own finger against the sky. Energy's energy. It's always there. It's how you roll with your whole navigation system to begin with. It's just thinking has a curtain down to keep everything locked tight, which is why we go through so many dilemmas, drama, situations, problems. And very few of us will ever be like, oh, this is my opportunity for growth in this area, and I'll be on to the next stage in life in no time. Very few can just take it on the chin and not even think about it and keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's hard to disconnect sometimes from your mind and stop with the thinking. I like that you tell jokes.
Sure. And I would mention one other thing about my background, and that is both my parents are deceased. I lost my dad in 1970 when I was 2, Navy off the coast of Italy. It was his time to go when he was super
Oh,
young. My mom in her early middle 40s when I was 23. But that was part of my path and my hurdles for this. But
wow.
it may sound drastic. It's not. It was their time, respectively, to go. The veil is right there. Hundreds of folks have talked to them, seen them.
Oh, that's so
Yeah. So
beautiful.
it's not as it's a big deal. And you can't tell anybody that their relative having been passed over is not important or anything like that. And that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that they're much more available, surrounding you in a loving way, and so much more
Mm.
available. You don't even have to do the two-way, because I know that's big and it's personal for most of us. You can at least just say, hey, I know you're there. Why don't you come with me on the walk? I love you. Give a hug invisibly. Feel the hug if you'll allow for it. Dip that pinky or the toe into the pool. Take a full 2 hours to get into your pool knee deep. You know how it is when there's a pool. Some people jump right in, and I've seen a lot of folks like that give me a lot of encouragement. There's every third person makes this look easy. They're an Olympian automatically. They didn't even know it. Pick somebody off the street who's never heard of Oprah, Angels, spirituality, and bam, they're off to the races. They just have it. They may be a good business person. They may be a good athlete. They didn't know they had the full set of skills.
Yeah, because they don't have any preconceived thinking about it. It just sort of pops. That's pretty neat that that happens. That's
Exactly.
really good. So for you during this, what did you call it? Opportunity time. What did you get out of it? That for you, what did you find was a benefit for you that you got during this last year or two?
The chance to connect with folks. I started doing a lot of coffees. I'll call them virtual Javas, virtual teas
Yes.
around the world. And, via LinkedIn or Facebook, it gave me a chance to kind of really work on the social media presence and to make sure I was checking the boxes, dotting the I's, crossing the T's on a lot of the business model fronts. So yes, I'm putting myself out there, and yes, it's a lot for folks. It just because I've helped somebody, with an organization, Essalon, Omega Institute, doesn't mean the organization itself. One person's not going to necessarily go to the mountaintop and shout, hey, everyone can meet angels. It's so personal that it can be really hard for a person to even acknowledge it after the fact. I think I had a shot at
Mm.
an Omega Institute 25-person workshop, and that was really an interesting experience. It would have been a couple of years in the future, and it would have cost more money to fly out than it would have been to do the 25-person workshop. So this is still a work in progress. I think it's more of a discovery for other people. I'm just trying to make sure it's as fun, as easy, and as light, no pun intended, as possible. But I'm just here to say that angels are super cool personalities, light beings. I'm still a little hesitant on getting comfortable. Seth is one. There's a light being different from the angels, beings of light. They're all unconditional love, but there's a light being named Grace who's wonderful. She's enthusiasm. Anybody, a fairy, a jinn, Native American chiefs or unconditional love spirit guides or figures from India, Sai Baba, Sri Kaleshwar, Vishnu, anybody can provide you with detailed answers for any situation. You have to be willing to step out of what you know long enough to do the actual just basic listening and feeling.
Mm, wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. So anything else you got a final message for the people listening to you that you can share that you feel they need to hear like right now this year?
Sure. I would say just more love and kindness and more gentleness, more taking the foot off the accelerator is all you need to hear. A wave to a total stranger, a smile, a courtesy, holding the door open, a kind word if you want. It's okay to just do a wave. That connection allows soul to soul interaction. Plus, you've made someone else's day. You never realize the impact you have on another human being and what they're going through, and how just the littlest, most innocuous move towards another can make all the difference. So that's incredible. I would also add big picture, perspective itself can change and changes everything. When you play with that, wow, as soon as you let go of what you know, and no one's going to take that away. It's always going to come right back. The harder your thinking is, the more you know. You could be a hardcore scientist or a famous author out there somewhere. You know, your business is to know only what you know. You're allowing for nothing new. But as soon as you change the details, you change your own story, which is kind of incredible when you play with that, because we all repeat, oh, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, this is why I'm unhappy right now. That's my problem is. But very few of us
Mm,
tell a story like, hey, I've been
oh,
given amazing opportunities for growth. And yet, you know, you just survived a car wreck a week ago. It's really hard to switch your flow around to allow for more growth. So I would even joke that as soon as you ditch the details, it doesn't mean you can't ask every question under the sun and get all your details. But as soon as you ditch that story altogether is when you self-actualize. You realize you own the moment long enough to go into your heart and allow the universe to fully connect up with you. Get your healing, get your hugs, get your answers, meet your guides, meet your angels, see full on, smell the ocean in Hawaii. It's totally impossible, totally doable. What is, I would agree, all of this is super hard, complex, impossible, but in the same breath, it's easy. What are you going to do? You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. Or you're going to go off to India to an ashram for 10 years. Instead, why not invite the universe to bring India to you? Get your mantra directly from Sai Baba. Let Sai Baba do his stuff. Let Archangel Michael do his stuff. St. Francis, Mother Teresa, you get the idea. A lot of great Dull Knight, Richard Geronimo, great Native American wisdom, great for business. Do your
that's
own listening. Do your own ownership of your whole business of life.
yeah,
Ask and
yeah,
receive. All you have to do is allow and not take anything too seriously.
yeah. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. That's a great share. Thank you so much. Great advice. So I know that you have a special gift and something else to share. Well, the gift was your beautiful photo that again, people can access it on your website, your angel photo of joy, that they can take that and meditate on it and do the way you said it, you know, do the
Sure.
way your
And
technique.
a special offer here would be you'd grab me for 45 minutes, 45 minutes exactly. I'll try to get 3 angels in, whatever you'll allow for in that time period. That's $100. You pay the Own Your Divine Light organization. It's a 50-50
Oh,
split.
we'll get all those details. All you have to do is share the what the gift is, because we'll have it
Yeah,
all.
so you'll get a chance to meet 3 angels in 45 minutes, and that's it. Angels Whisk, so that's plural, angelswhisk at gmail.com is how to reach out.
Ah, fantastic. Well, we're going to have all that down below for everyone who's listening. So don't
Sure.
worry if you get all that with Michael. It's going to be definitely there for you to link onto, and we'll have it all set up. And Michael, that was wonderful. And thank you, everybody who's here listening. We really appreciate you listening. And, you know, this is a great time for you to learn so much about look at who you are and what you're capable of in the world. And so if you have any comments or feedback, we'd love you to, let us know. You can email us at ownyourdivinelight@gmail.com. And I'll also, you can also email Michael directly, and I will share it with Michael if I get it. So don't worry, we always share our emails with the speakers. And Michael, you are amazing. And thank you for sharing your incredible ability and blazing your divine light for all to share and learn, because you've opened doors to the next phase of humanity's awakening. You really have, and allowed them to glimpse all that we are moving into. You're the lighthouse. You're the lighthouse that directs the way to our next phase. And, this is who you are. This is what you're meant to do and bring to us. So we are so grateful for you. And you were so generous with me. I had a great session with you. And it was so much. I'm like, it was just crazy. So anyone who's going to do it, I highly recommend it.
It can be a lot to take in again, and I really appreciate you having me on the show, especially fourth season. Yay! Again,
Oh,
congratulations.
great. I'm so
But
excited.
it's so much simpler than people realize. That'd be the final parting thought. Is just it's all around you. It's in you. It's those goosebump Hallmark movie moments. It could be just walking your dog. It's whatever part of life you've been allowing for, where you're
Yeah.
truly at peace, getting goosebumps. You're happy, and all you're doing is expanding that this much and allowing the universe, which has always been there, to kick in a little bit of extra help.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. Powerful words. Powerful words. So I'm just going to say, I'm Isla Serrona Miller, and I will see you all on the next episode. And thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you very much.